What is up, everybody? Welcome to another fresh take. I got T with me.
Hey there, foos. What's up?
All right, now the last one that me and T did together, we talked about taking a nice little trip down memory lane to the lovely roaring 80s in the films of the 80s. And yeah, we're doing that right now.
So get your popcorn.
Yeah, because we finna start out. Now, the thing about the 80s movies that you have to remember is it's a time of Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
It's a time of communism.
Mm-hmm.
It's a time of horrible stories and movies, but awesome action heroes.
Mm-hmm. And it's a time of R-rated films that were turned into kids' cartoons and toys.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, right?
I mean, nothing that will ever beat RoboCop. You getting the RoboCop toys and wondering,
right?
Why your parents let you watch RoboCop? Yes, I'm scarred for life now. So, because the original RoboCop will give you nightmares.
My goodness.
Especially if you were 7 and watching that.
And they had to edit it down to what it is. It was worse.
Yeah.
The original cut is woo. Imagine that.
Yeah, so that's what this particular cast is about. Because like there were a lot of movies in the 80s, and most of them, I'm gonna be honest with you, have not aged well. But for some reason, you still love them. Case in point, we're gonna start off with the action genre. Now, the action genre in the 80s was pretty much won over by two men who were pretty much alpha males, the alpha males of the 80s, and that's Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh man, they the guys.
Did so many action movies. It was not even funny. If you were a communist or brown, you died.
And they were kind of competing with each other, and it was like a little competition of 80s movies for both of those guys, and they would give little nods to each other in their movies, and they never teamed up. Everybody always wanted that, but we kind of did in a video game called Contra.
Yeah,
but that wasn't
which they should have made a movie for, because that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing about that whole situation. Oh, and one more thing: if you are in a Sylvester Stallone and a Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie in the 80s, and you were the black best friend, you were dying first.
You did. Sorry.
If they trained you, you died.
But not just them. Also, Chuck Norris. If you're Chuck Norris's black friend, you were also dead.
Yeah. If you were the black best friend or the black friend, period. The main villain was going to find an effed up way to just straight up dice you up.
Mm-hmm.
And it would all happen within the first 10 minutes of the movie. And that's how you know the movie was good, kids.
Welcome.
Yeah. This is an awesome movie. Yaphet Kotto just died. All right. 5 minutes in, and we got credits. So one of my personal favorite movies of the 80s, honestly, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Commando.
Commando is on my list too.
Now, Commando was probably one of the worst written movies I've ever seen in my life. But
worse in a good way, though.
Yeah, but the one-liners all hit. And it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, so you can kind of believe that he will decimate an entire mall of security officers and police. And it's just like it was one after the other. And like when he said he was going to kill somebody, you believed it. Especially if you just watch Terminator. But if he came into the show, because there's one scene when they get to the airport, the bad guys kidnapped his daughter. They pretty much told him, if you don't do what I say, I'm gonna chop your little girl up and mail him back to you. And he pretty much is like, okay, dude was making little jokes about his daughter, kind of, insinuating that they was gonna rape her.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, hey man, you're funny, Sully. I like you. That's why I'm gonna kill you last.
That is a reoccurring theme in 80s action film. Rape. It was very rapey in the 80s action movie. But
the bad guy never did.
Well, I saw a few that they did, but it wasn't like forced.
Yeah.
Like, well, obviously, it had to be forced, but it was more like, all right, a guy forcing himself and then the lady giving in type of deal. It wasn't like, You know.
But said bad guy died in a awesome leap.
Oh yeah, he always got his comeuppance.
Yeah. One thing
It was
about
all about morality in the 80s. All the movies had a morality. The bad guy loses in the end all the time. There was no, maybe maybe some kind of artsy fartsy ending. Nope. The good guys win, the bad guys lose. That's how it worked in the 80s.
Now, there's one more thing you need to know about the 80s as well. You weren't going to sit up there and love the bad guy. You weren't going to sit up there and want to understand why he's evil. Nah, nope. He's evil. He needs to die.
There was no layers to the bad guy. There's no, I need backstory to believe. No,
you don't.
He's bad.
He did. You know this dude crazy? Kill him.
The first act of the movie, the first opening scene, usually the bad guy is doing something bad to establish he's the bad guy and he needs to get killed. And that's how it worked.
Yes, that man that was bringing out his garbage to the trash dump got shot up by all those dudes. Yes, that was the bad guy.
Garbage day.
Yeah. Which completely works because like back then, another thing, back then, like most of the action movies, they were an hour and a half. They weren't gonna keep you in on no 2-3 hours.
Barely.
They just weren't doing that.
85 minutes.
Yeah, they got you in, they got you out. So it was never like any drag. I remember like Rambo, going to see Rambo, and Rambo did not drag on and on and on. No, they got you in, they got you out.
Those were very tight, concise movies in those days. And it was good because the shorter your movie was, the more what do you call it?
The more showtimes you get.
The more showtimes you get. And that's what these movies today, they can't figure out. It's like, that's why you make all the money. Making these 3-hour movies, man, you don't get as many showtimes.
Yeah, that's why they have to open at like 9:30 in the morning because they're trying to get 4 shows.
That's right.
So yeah, but that's my personal favorite of the 80s. I had to go through my laundry list of 80s movies. Now I'm going to go into another subgenre in a little bit. But T, what's one of your favorites in the 80s?
The 80s were really good for kids, especially. I felt like a lot of the fantasy movies were really good. They weren't stupid fantasy movies like we get today.
Oh God, yes.
For kids, they were really smart and they were dark. And speaking of dark, that's what I'm going to pick. Dark Crystal. Love that movie. Love it to death. Jim Henson, I think that was his first one, the puppeted movie, Dark Crystal, and it influenced a lot of video games, including Legend of Zelda. So definitely one of my faves.
Side note, Netflix is coming back to Netflix. Just to let you guys know. Yeah, 2017.
Netflix is taking the world over, man. It's taking over the
basically. And I'm loving them for it. So, so Dark Crystal for you, right?
Yeah, Dark Crystal for me. That's my first one.
I do have a fantasy one, but see, mine is a little bit on the Cause see, I shouldn't like this movie. As a matter of fact, I should hate it because of the many times I had to watch it. The first Never Ending Story, man.
Oh, that's on my list too. Of course, man. Of course. You can't talk about the 80s.
Put it on there. But I think the reason why I hated it because they kept making us watch it at school, and I got tired. Watching it every now and then is okay, but when you go through K through 5 and you've seen that movie like 10 times,
it's something about it's not like it's a great film or anything. No. There's just something about the puppetry, what do you call it? The what do you call it? Matte paintings and stuff. It was really well done. You could tell it wasn't like made by an American. It just had that weird kind of 80s, like Eastern European kind of feel to it. And that's what the director was from. I can't remember which Eastern European country he was from.
Oh, okay.
But he was, it was definitely, it had a different feel. But a lot of movies in the 80s had that feel because they let guys like him direct stuff, like Roman Polanski. But I was thinking of the RoboCop director. What's his name? Verhoeven. Yeah, like Verhoeven movies, they all have this weird. I mean, they're about American things, but it definitely they're raw, and they have like this weird like. I feel like cold Eastern European feel to them. So
now let me ask you this: is this one on your list for fantasy? Willow?
Of course. Willow's definitely on my list.
Willow is an interesting movie to me because of the simple fact that Iceman from Top Gun is in it.
That's right, folks. Iceman from Top Gun. He was also what's his name from The Doors, and became Batman a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Yep, that's him.
It was actually cool because I didn't notice him at first because of course he has like long black hair and he's like one of the world's greatest swordsman or whatever.
Those teeth, though, man, he's got those teeth are so recognizable.
That's how you knew it was him.
Yeah.
You're like, God damn, I done seen them Bugs Bunny looking like teeth before.
Val Kilmer with those teeth, man.
Yeah, Val Kilmer were. Now Willow was one of those movies. Now Willow, I enjoyed Willow because I didn't really see it that much, and on top of that, it was just I think that's one of those movies that actually got me hooked into like fantasy stuff, just because of how well done. Now that one I felt was well done. Period.
That was written by George Lucas, but he didn't direct it, right?
I love it when he like write stuff but don't direct it, aka Empire Strikes Back.
I think he wrote that, but he didn't direct it. Somebody else directed it.
But yeah, that one was a cool story. Now I would be remiss if I did not add in my other favorites. Okay, Conan.
Oh, Ron Howard directed it. Okay, yeah, I remember that now. Sorry, Conan. Yeah, that's also on my list.
Yep,
we're gonna have a lot of
them on there. Just the first one.
Yeah, I you know what? I have a soft spot for the second one. A lot of people kind of hate on it, but
I love the second one.
I like it because it felt like a video game in the movie form. You know what I'm saying? Like they just went on these little, they went through these levels basically, and they had these boss fights throughout the whole movie. You know, so yeah, I thought it. I think a lot of video games kind of took the ideas from that movie of the boss fight and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I actually like the Destroyer a little bit better than Barbarian, even though
it's more action. Yeah,
but I like James Earl Jones.
Yeah, you can't beat James Earl Jones.
Yeah, as a villain because he scared the crap out of me in that movie.
Freaked me out.
I'm like, dude, because before that I didn't know he was Darth Vader. So I'm just sitting there, and when I finally put two and two together back when I was watching Coming to America, I'm like, this dude is the reason for my fears at night.
When he turned into that snake and that damn snake looked like him, it was like, oh no, I'm done.
I'm done. Of course, it being a Conan movie, you can't have a Conan movie without an orgy sequence.
Oh, of course.
So
you want to hear the lamentations of the women, you know?
Yeah.
Line pulled right from the movie there.
And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, the 80s did not care if it was rated R.
It was not PC. It did not care.
They didn't care if you had morals.
Nope.
They didn't care if you was a feminist. If it was a rated R movie, you losing that top.
It is coming off. Sorry.
It's coming off. So you can get mad all you want to. That top will fire you and hire somebody else. You losing that top.
Yeah, there were movies like, that were like Conan kind of ripoffs, like was it Deathstalker or something like that?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
that movie was very rapey and lots of toplessness in that one. I remember seeing it as a kid, just being like, "Whoa, I don't think I should be watching this," but I can't turn away.
It wasn't even good though.
No, it wasn't a good movie. It was bad, but
it was like the fantasy elements they tried to put in there because you could tell it was a rip of Conan.
Yeah, the bad like puppetry. Some of the guys with the bad. Yeah, it was.
I'm like, can y'all call Jim Henson up and let him work with y'all or something? I need to take a class.
They didn't take care of like film in those days either. So all the like older movies have this like really bad kind of, I don't know, blurry-ish kind of look to them. Like it was just
that gets in it.
Yeah, it was just a thing in the 80s movies, especially for some reason. They didn't take good care of the prints.
yeah, because especially now since they're trying to convert everything to Blu-ray, you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna let you handle this one. Now the comedies of the '80s, because I know you got a good list of comedies. It's Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall. People.
Yeah, but he owned like. What am I gonna say? That's not an Eddie Murphy movie. That's a comedy. Like, those were the best comedies. You have movies that were comedies but had other elements like Ghostbusters, obviously.
Yeah.
And he actually Eddie Murphy was supposed to be in Ghostbusters. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was. They had him for what's his name? Winston. Yeah, but I think he turned it down to do.
It had been Beverly Hills Cop.
It had been Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah, I think he turned it down for Beverly Hills Cop. Which it's probably best. I think he would have been too much for that movie.
Yeah.
Like I think your boy played it perfect as Winston, so it's probably for the best. But yeah, Coming to America. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah.
You don't get better as a comedy in the '80s than Coming to America. Like that movie is
Coming
so
to
quotable.
America has the best segment that they actually made a movie off of.
Oh
The
man,
barbershop sequence.
Barbershop, yeah.
Those
Barbershop
3
came from
times they
that
go to the
movie.
barbershop.
Yeah, and they were great. Like they were so memorable. I know. I'm not kidding you. I know that movie line for line. I used to watch that movie at least 3 times a week as a kid, and I know it word for word. I'm not kidding you.
And here's the thing. Now that is one movie that still holds up in my opinion
Still
today.
holds up.
Because nobody's coming close to that amount. The way they did it, the way him and Arsenio Hall played all those characters, I would have loved to just been on set to see all them takes.
Yeah. And then you can go back to like Trading Places, which was amazing as well. Like there were such smart comedies. Like comedies today is just like stupid. You know, it's just like what's the guy? I'm fat and I'm falling all over the place. It's just like, look
Jack
at the
Black.
No, not Jack Black. Jack Black is a little better than this dude. From
Zach
King of
Galifianakis?
Queens. The dude from King of Queens.
Oh, Kevin James.
Kevin James. Oh my God. Like what happened to comedy? Like it was, you know, obviously I think
what happened to the writers?
the writing is just like bad. It's just bad. It's like there's no more jokes. There's no more setups. It's just like, you know, somebody farting or saying something stupid or falling. You know, there's no more elaborate like setup for jokes.
Let's just see this person nude and you laugh at it.
Yeah, it's just
like, okay, that's
this guy's
okay.
a complete moron. You know, like, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's not funny.
At all.
So. Yeah, I feel you on that. Now, as far as like the hybrid movies, kind of like Gremlins, that was like kind of like horror comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of
the best movies there.
The thing was though, like with Gremlins, I always thought Gremlins was more comedy than anything else.
Gremlins, it was
that movie.
I used to be when I was younger. It definitely was a little bit creepier to me. You know, thinking about those cute little things that turn into those. You know, because they were killing. This is supposed to be like a kids movie. They were murdering people, like.
But they were doing it in
right. But it was funny. It was funny. Yeah. But as a kid, it was a little bit more creepy. You know, when you're a kid.
Yeah.
You know, some stuff is a little bit scarier to you. But I mean, I loved Gremlins. Even though I was a little bit freaked by it at times, I still watch it all the time. I used to watch that movie just as much as I used to watch Coming to America. So. My pick, I'm gonna pick an entire series.
Okay.
Because it seems like it's always forgotten, basically because, you know, of George Romero's more serious toned Night of the Living Dead movies, you know, like Day of the Dead and all those movies.
Mm-hmm.
Return of the Living Dead. You remember the Return of the Living Dead series?
I actually remember
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I remember that.
Those freaking movies were hilarious. And they you know, they tried to be hilarious. The closest thing I can think of it to is like Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah,
Shaun of the Dead is like to me comes the closest to that type of, because it's definitely a horror movie because it was a lot of gore and stuff, but it's damn funny. Like they were very funny.
Yeah, because that one was when that was like the first time I actually saw Hollywood actually making fun of their own tropes.
Yeah.
They were actually making fun of it. And that was like one of the first times. I know it's probably was done way before then, but it was one of the first times I saw it on screen because I'm like, they actually making fun of the stuff they do. This is awesome.
Yeah, and like, you know, in the vein of like Airplane and stuff like that, you had Keenen Ivory Wayans with his first film, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Like that was the epitome of making fun of Hollywood tropes and like blaxploitation. Especially like, oh, that movie was so good.
Yeah,
one of the best in the '80s for sure.
Okay, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. My favorite scene where they actually showed you who the man was.
Oh man.
Okay, that was funny. That and Chris Rock.
Oh man, Chris Rock scene is so. I was talking about that scene the other day. It's so memorable. Oh my god!
Because you had the feeling that Isaac Hayes was going to jump across that counter.
He was getting so. My cups cost more than 15 cents. Pour it in my hand for a dime.
that was that movie is full of memorable moments.
Yeah, it makes fun, like we said, it makes fun of like the tropes of blaxploitation, kung fu movies with Kung Fu Joe, like him taking on the entire police force,
and they just shot him.
They just shot him to death, and he came out of it though.
Yeah.
It was man, that movie is so funny. It's still funny today. It's one of those movies that are timeless in their comedy and just everything, man.
Yeah, a matter of fact, a lot of the movies a lot of the comedies that I found in like the 80s, like Harlem Nights, Coming to America,
I think Harlem Nights just missed the 80s. I think it was 1990. I think it just missed.
Okay, my bad.
Look it up. I think it's 1990.
Okay, if it's 1990, my bad, people.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
90's gonna be at a later date.
1990, it's still kind of the 80s because, you know,
the first 2 years,
it still felt very 80s.
Yeah, so. the first 2 years especially felt very 80s.
Yeah,
but a lot of those comedies are still.
Oh no, you're right. I take it back. You are right. It did make the 80s. It was 1989. You're right.
I was hoping. All right, so those comedies though.
I was thinking of A Rage in Harlem. That's what I was thinking about. Okay.
Oh, Rage. Okay.
Yeah.
But those comedies like that, they are full of like stuff that you remember from and everything. Like if you are a fan of film, especially like comedy and stuff like that, all of those are on Blu-ray by now. You should own at least 3 of them.
Oh man.
At least, and I'm not even talking about like Revenge of the Nerds or Police Academy or any of the goofball ones.
Yeah.
That were actually good.
Although I really like Revenge of the Nerds 1 and 2 and Police Academy up until maybe 4 before it just went off the rails.
Yeah, now Police Academy was good to me until like I think 4. 5 was all right. 6 was
just a pointless.
7.
There's a 7, yeah. It's like Police Academy in Miami Beach or something. Like,
I'm like, you know what?
Yeah, ridiculous.
All right, y'all done lost our damn mind. But yeah, up till like 4.
But they served their purpose. They were good like kid comedies. You know, they weren't like
they were the goofball comedies.
Yeah.
So, but those were actually good. Those were in the Revenge of the Nerds. It was just fun to see the nerds beat the hell out of the jocks for once. It was just fun to see that.
Yeah, it was good. It's like the guys take shit for like 2 or almost 2 hours, and at the end they get them back in a really cool, funny way.
The funny thing about it is who they team up with, the Black Fraternity. So
that was great. That was great.
So led by Bernie Casey.
Oh boy,
no one knew what it
was. Good stuff. Bernie Casey, who was also in "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker."
Yeah. So, yeah. In other words, the nerds did not have a problem with any retaliation.
No.
It wasn't the best joke.
They joined Lambda Brothers, and it was all right.
They showed the biggest, because every last one of them dudes was like 6'5", 308 pounds. Like, come on, dog. That's just unfair.
I think I'm thinking of Trading Places with that big black dude that kept saying, "Yeah."
Yep.
It's so perfect. Like, they understood comedy so well in the 80s, man. Like the Caddyshack movies, all that stuff was just brilliant stuff, man. And you just can't replicate it. I think the closest movie that replicated that kind of comedy in modern times is like the first what's the Vegas movie comedy?
Hangover.
Hangover. The first Hangover was sort of like closest we got to like that really clever 80s comedy stuff.
Yeah, I would agree, because that one, it started out as a mystery.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, because they actually have plots. That's the thing about these comedies movies from the 80s. They had really good plots. You know, like they could be different. They can be a completely different movie.
Yeah,
like Trading Places could be a totally serious movie. You can take the comedy out. Like it could be like a character study. So that's what was so good about those 80s comedies, man.
That is very true, because like they really did. They actually told stories. Like Coming to America told actually a deep story. It was just funny as hell.
Yeah, it was a it was a fish out of water thing. Like it was really really well told. It was a nice love story. It wasn't just a stupid comedy.
Yeah.
There was a good love story in there. There was the fish out of water thing. Like the whole McDowell's thing is just hilarious. Like,
especially when you learn about the background of why they had to do that. When you actually hear and it was actually true why they had to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, wow, Eddie, you pulled one over on them. I bet you
brilliant. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I bet you that chain was kicking themselves for it though.
Mm-hmm.
That movie made buku of money.
They didn't realize what they were missing out on.
Yeah. And they would have had all the little marketing stuff. They could have
but that made the movie better. The fact that they said no is what made the movie better.
And
all right, we're gonna be a rip-off
one anyway.
We're gonna be a rip-off version. That made it funnier.
And the funny thing about it, not only do they do that, they reference it in the movie, and they actually used one of their buildings.
Yeah. And they have some guy from there come by taking pictures. I love that little scene. It's just little pieces like that, that they wouldn't put in a comedy movie today. That little scene was so funny, and there wasn't much to it. It was just some guy coming by taking pictures of McDowell's outside. It was just that was funny.
Yeah, all because of McDonald's didn't want to be in the movie.
Yep.
Eddie made them pay for that. Okay, y'all
they're kicking themselves today about that, man.
Yeah, you gonna say no to us? All right, me and Arsenio got a plan for that. And boy, that was hilarity defined. So people, if you want to know something funny, look up Coming to America, McDonald's, and read how that happened. That is one of the funniest real stories I ever heard.
I was thinking about Eric LaSalle because we watched Logan or whatever, and he's in that. And it's just like it's funny how stuff just comes back around, man. It's just
the Jerry curl, man.
The Jerry curl. That's so good. I am determined to make a semi-serious movie called Soul Glow based in the 80s. I want to make that a thing. I want to make that happen.
You gonna have a theme song in it?
I'm definitely gonna have that theme song. Got to have the theme song. And it's gonna be like a dramedy. It's gonna be semi-serious, but oh man, I have to make that happen.
Dude, I think the song was what got everybody.
Oh, that's
song is horrible.
Just let your soul glow.
the guy was all on key. And this is the commercial.
Oh my god, that movie! That's what that was so good about 80s comedies, especially, was that there was a bunch of little movies inside the movie. Like you could have made a whole movie about the barbershop, and they did 20 years later.
Yeah.
Like you could have made an entire movie about just Eddie Murphy coming, being a fish out of water. Like you could have made an entire movie about your boy in McDowell's moving up. What's his name? Louis Anderson. These are entire movies. The first time I saw Samuel L. Jackson was him jacking McDowell.
Anybody move, I'll blow your fucking head off.
What are you looking at, buddy? Sam Jackson. Oh man, that movie is so good. So good.
That is probably one of the true gems. Because I'm so glad that Hollywood never remade that.
Oh boy, knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. I'm just glad they never remade it.
They're talking about making a sequel though.
Yeah, but that had been in works
that's
for
fine
years,
to me.
Though. Yeah, but that had been in works for years, because when Arsenio had his show a few years back, he brought Eddie on, and they had actually written something up, but they went into legal trouble with somebody from Nigeria claiming that the movie was about him and it wasn't.
Oh, so yeah, you could have had an entire movie based in Zamunda. These are all huge little movies inside the big movie. Yeah,
so a sequel I can deal with.
Yeah,
remake, hell no.
No. I mean, you can't remake the comedians that were in that movie. You can't remake that. Sequel with the same actors, yes, because they all look damn good. Like Sherry Headley still looks pretty good.
I saw her on she was at some red carpet event. I'm like, God dang, you a vampire.
Yeah, they all still look pretty good, man.
Yeah, so I'm like, and she's like, what? I think close to 50 now.
Yeah, I think she's maybe 51 actually. 51.
Yeah. So and yeah, she still looks great.
Yeah.
So
The last time I saw her was in a terrible hood movie with the game. She played a cop, his cop girlfriend,
oh god.
and she looked great. And then this was like probably 6 or 7 years ago though.
Mhm.
But yeah, she still looks good.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so cult classics. Well, no, before we get to cult classics, the guilty pleasure movies.
Guilty pleasure.
Now these movies are horrible.
Yeah.
We kind of watch them when nobody's at the house, and the volume's down.
But they are entertaining all the way through.
Yeah,
like even the bad movies, they weren't like, oh my god, this movie's horrible, I can't watch it. They were so bad that they were good.
Yeah,
almost all of the 80s movies. There were some that were just terrible, but most of the 80s movies that were bad were bad, so bad that they were good.
They were still watchable.
Very watchable, yes.
Yeah, like there are movies nowadays that I will not finish if they're that bad.
Mm. I can't sit through them.
Yeah, now this one movie I'm finna name, I can watch it all the time, and I'll be like, I know I shouldn't like this. I know I have a certain taste in movies, but I can't stop watching this because I enjoy it. American Ninja.
Oh, you took it, you bastard.
Hey, dude, they had 3 that came out in the 80s. Dude, come on.
Yeah. I put American Ninja series is what I.
Oh, damn.
Because they're all terrible. I mean,
yes, they are. But
go ahead.
The very first one was the height of Reagan.
I was gonna say the first one was almost a serious movie, like almost a good, serious action movie.
But it was
almost. It still was bad.
But it was horrible.
Yeah.
But they had my boy Steve James on it, so I had to support
Oh boy.
And I liked it. Especially
the
ending.
After that, when they just said, "Fuck it," we tried to make a serious movie. We don't have the ability to do that. Let's just go crazy.
And nobody believes us anyway. So
no, I remember a scene in, I believe it was 2, where they were on the back of the truck. They were getting chased, and they were clearly not moving in this truck in this shot. But they were trying to pretend that they were. I think they were blowing smoke and all kinds of and shaking the truck to make it look like they were moving the truck, and the guy jumped onto the truck. It was just so slow and terrible, but that's what made it good, man.
That was 2. I remember that. That was
2, right? Okay,
that was 2. Yeah, because
it was a pickup truck or something.
That entire chase scene was horrible.
Oh, that entire chase scene was terrible. I just remember that specific shot. I'm like, oh my god, you got to be kidding.
that shot, and it's another shot. I want to say right when they get caught at the end of the chase.
Oh my goodness.
That's just like, okay.
When you can't trick a 5-year-old into believing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're doing a very terrible job.
But the only thing that saved that scene was Steve James.
Oh, Steve James, yeah, he saved the scene for sure.
Yeah, but
and ninjas. I mean, you got ninjas everywhere. As a kid, ninjas were the thing.
Yeah. The 80s, that's what it was all about, the ninjas.
It was all about ninjas in the 80s.
But that series? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ninjas.
What was it? Michael Dudikoff? That was the guy?
Michael Dudikoff. Michael Dudikoff and Steve James.
Oh my gosh.
In the first movie.
R.I.P. Steve James.
In the first movie, the villain was named Senor Ortega, but he kept speaking French.
He was speaking French.
Like, dude.
Oh my gosh.
You are obviously from a Spanish-speaking country.
Yeah.
Why are you speaking French? You speaking French with a Spanish accent.
And that happened a lot in 80s movies. That was the 80s movies thing where they would take, Mr. Foreign guy and make him somebody he was not. Make him Spanish or make him Colombian. And
make him
that dude's not
German.
Colombian. That guy's Russian, clearly. That dude is clearly Russian. Why are you trying to make him Spanish? Like, it was so funny. They did that so much in the 80s, man.
But they couldn't get rid of it. And the thing was, like, they never found a way to get rid of the accent. So I'm like, dude, especially in American Ninja, I'm sitting here looking at this dude. I'm like, dude, if you can't get rid of the accent, you already said his name was Ortega. Just say he's Spanish. Just please speak Spanish. This guy's trying to speak French. C'est magnifique. I'm like, no, dude, you're saying that and you're rolling the R. Why?
Oh my god, it was so terrible.
Yeah,
And we were in the '80s. We were all afraid of the Russians.
yeah,
And it was the Red Scare in the '80s. And a lot of movies. You had movies like Chuck Norris with Invasion USA.
yeah. I mean, pretty much any Chuck Norris movie circa 1984.
Yeah, well, he did some. He did those mission and action movies. Those were all about Vietnam.
Yeah,
And
they're running from communists though.
yeah. But there was what was that one with Patrick Swayze in them?
So there was a couple of them. So
that
Red Dawn was one.
Red Dawn. That's the one I was thinking about.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Oh yeah, people. Patrick Swayze was big in the 80s.
Patrick Swayze was the man.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to like not bring him up when you talk about 80s movies.
Oh yeah.
He had like 50.
Outsiders, that Red Dawn, Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
Dude was
I think
everywhere.
he's more well known for Dirty Dancing than anything else. Roadhouse.
Probably. Yeah, Roadhouse. Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot Roadhouse.
Yeah. So I mean, and all his movies was kind of like, if he was an action movie, he was the badass bouncer dude.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If it was a romantic movie, he was the badass.
Yeah, the cool dude. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this was '90s, but him in Point Break, he was awesome in that.
Yeah. He was actually the best part of Point Break. But
You didn't like Keanu?
no. I'm like, Bill and Ted need to go back to being Bill and Ted.
But he was perfect for that movie. You got to give him that. He was just like the
for that.
perfect.
Yeah, for that. Yeah. But I mean, I think my personal.
We got to do '90s next. So
that was going to be a little long.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah. But the Swayze films, his movies was like they weren't hit and miss for me. You seen one, you kind of knew what to expect.
Yeah, they were kind of samey.
Yeah,
some of them were.
The women wanted him. So if it was a romantic movie, you know what he was gonna be doing in there. He was gonna be gyrating, and giving them women a show.
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
he was his movies, his romantic movies was Magic Mike before it was Magic Mike.
Pretty much, yeah. That's who he was.
I mean,
he was Channing Tatum in the '80s.
Yeah, he really was. I'm like, yeah, the women be catching the vapors all in the middle of the theater. So that's pretty much what it was. Now, cult classic.
Back then, A Star could sell a movie even if it was trash, and he was a
trash.
big star. Yeah, it could be straight garbage, but he was in it. It doesn't work anymore. You can't just put a star in these movies today. People don't come out and see them, but you could do that in the '80s.
There's nobody that's that charismatic though, dude. I mean,
we don't have as many charismatic people.
We got a couple of them, but then they try to be overly serious.
Yeah, the problem is a lot of movies today are just bigger than the people in them. They're just too much spectacle. Everything's a spectacle. It's just like there's not a lot of character-driven movies like that anymore, unfortunately.
I mean, when you have an Avengers moment in a romantic comedy, I mean, that's a problem.
Right. Exactly. So
when you got everybody talking about they want to make a film universe, even a romantic comedy, like there's no reason to have a movie universe, a cinematic universe for your romantic comedy movies. Right?
Yeah.
There really is no reason for this.
Yeah, it's just no reason for that. Like
some movies are meant to be one-offs. They're not meant to be trilogies.
It's almost like the game. It's almost like the game industry where it's like everybody wants to be like Activision or Rockstar. Nobody wants to be like Midway or Iguana Entertainment. Nobody, nobody wants to be them. And it's like there's a lot of money to be made there too. Like make those smaller character-driven movies. People will come see that stuff.
Trust me, and you will make your money.
Yeah, you're making money. Like the only company that I feel like still kind of does that is Lionsgate. I feel like Lionsgate still kind of does that smaller, like mid-tier kind of stuff.
Yeah. But I think Lionsgate does because they usually handle the distribution for like the straight to DVD stuff too.
Yeah.
On a lot of companies stuff, and especially the animated stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of animated movies get like that because they got that distribution deal with Lionsgate.
Yeah.
So they making a lot of money on the back end, so they can probably afford to take that risk.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
Some companies like, oh God, man, did you just see what DC did? We got to do what they did. No,
we need more Canon. You remember Canon? We need more studios like that. Just put out a bunch of smaller movies that make their money. They don't cost that much.
Mm-mm.
What in Hollywood is like they can't figure it out, but they don't want to. It's just like it's right there in front of your face.
Well, because man, we got to do this remake of The Crow.
Oh my God, no, no. See, I don't understand. I just don't get that. Like, why would you want to remake The Crow? First of all, it wasn't even that big of a movie.
No,
the biggest thing about The Crow, like, I love The Crow. The Crow is my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing about The Crow was that Brandon Lee died in it.
And Brandon Lee was awesome.
Right, and Brandon Lee was awesome. Like, so you can't just, let's remake The Crow because it was about Brandon Lee.
Yeah,
that's what the movie was about.
Yeah. So yeah, and people, the reason why I brought that up, because yes, Hollywood is trying to redo that again.
Yes, they are. They've been trying to do that movie for like 10 years now.
Yeah, and Alex Pro has just washed his hands up and like, you know what, y'all want to screw this up? Fine. Yeah. I got mine on Blu-ray.
Yeah, like
I can't really blame the guy for saying that.
How are the mighty fallen, Alex Proyas, man?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, Gods of Egypt. What the hell?
All right, cult classics.
All right, I guess I'll do this in a way of basic characters, and we kind of did that. So we did American Ninja Series. I want to focus on like characters like Van Damme, Van Damme. So for the 80s, that would include like Bloodsport and Cyborg. I think Cyborg is still 80s.
Yeah, Cyborg was 86.
Was it?
I think it was 85 or 86.
Yeah, Cyborg is a terrible film.
It's horrible.
But it is a guilty pleasure of mine. I had to look it up because I feel like it was filmed by, like I said, one of those kind of weird Eastern European directors. It had that weird kind of feel to it. I'm gonna have to look it up. But yeah, Cyborg it's not a good movie at all. But it just works for me.
The fight scenes were awesome though.
Fight scenes were great. Yeah,
the fight scenes were great. But yeah, if you're trying to go in there looking for deep meaning and story, no.
That's the thing about that movie. I think that's what I like about it is that it's a very experimental type of film. Like there's always these weird memory shots or these weird memory scenes that keep playing over and over in the movie. I don't know if they have enough runtime to justify it being a feature movie, and it just kept showing these scenes over and over again, like the scene where Van Damme's former family falling in that well, they get dropped in that well. And they keep showing that, like they must have showed that like 20 times in the movie throughout. And it's just like, why do they keep showing that? And it just felt really experimental.
They had to pad it out.
Yeah, I think they were just padding the length of the movie. I just thought it was like a weird experimental thing at the time, but they were probably just trying to pad it to make it fit, 90 minutes. But yeah, that's pretty funny actually. Think about that. And my other one would be Jim Cotta. You remember Jim Cotta?
Yes, I do.
Oh my gosh. That movie is terrible, but the action is so good. Like they took some 80s gold medalist gymnastic, like he was a real gymnast. And they just said,
he was?
Yeah, he's a real gymnast.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. That's why he's so terrible at acting. So they took him. They were like, well, he's really popular. He won all these gold medals. Basically, if they took, what's his name? Well, he's she now. The dude that was married to the Kardashians. What's his name? The father. He's now, Caitlyn Jenner. Basically, they took a movie and said, oh, he's basically, if they took him, Jenner, and it's like, oh, he's a famous gold medalist. Let's put him in a movie. He's a name, It's basically what they did with that guy. But he can't act. It doesn't matter. But he has all these real cool, gymnast moves and stuff. And they just said, all right, we'll put him in this crazy town. Just think, what's the game? Resident Evil 4, right?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it's Resident Evil 4 with a gymnast.
You ain't lying. That's exactly what that
is. With a gymnast who has karate moves, basically. And that's Jim Cotta. They would never make a movie like that today, but it just works in the 80s, man.
They would have lost money in the concept room.
No doubt about it. That movie would have just died on the cutting room floor. Would have never happened today. But a gold medalist, he's a real gold medalist. We're gonna throw him in a movie, basically Resident Evil 4, in a crazy town of people attacking him. He's just gonna. There's gonna be all these well-placed like bars that he can jump on and swing from like a gymnast. It just happens to be this bar that's perfect for him to do his little swinging gymnast thing on. It's hilarious, but it's so good. So those are my picks.
Okay, all right. Here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna name out some movies. All right, and you tell me if if it could work in a modern setting, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, remember, these are going to be the original 80s versions of these movies. So,
if original 80s version working today.
Yeah, if it has had a reboot, we're going to act like it didn't, okay?
All right.
Okay. All right. Back to the Future 1.
No. It's too non-PC. That's all. I'm surprised that was a kids movie. There's a lot of like adult themes in there. No, that wouldn't work today.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, the original Terminator.
Oh no way, impossible.
Yeah, because the first 10 minutes. So
yeah, the first 10 minutes you can forget about it. That would never happen today. Like. And it'd be all CG'd up. It would need you'd be so disconnected from it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be any practical effects, and that probably would have killed.
I don't know why they're so afraid of practical today, especially when it's so cheap. It's cheaper. It's way cheaper. And it actually looks real because it is real.
It actually gives the actor something to interact with.
Yeah.
So, here's what it is. Now, I know what you're gonna say on this one, so I'm gonna skip to the second one in the series, RoboCop 2.
Oh my goodness! No way. There's no way. Like RoboCop 1 has a better chance. RoboCop 2 is like. It's 2 times the the terror. Like it is.
People, if you don't know anything about RoboCop 2 probably has one of the most bloodthirsty kids I've ever seen on film in a movie.
It is. And you know what's funny? We talked about The Crow. The Crow had a scene like that was cut out of the movie. You remember the scene where your boy is outside of the he's going in the store and the Crow attacks the dude that's in the car?
Yeah.
And he drives him off the cliff or whatever.
Yeah.
That scene, there's a shot where the guy's like, what kind of, what does he say? The guy in the store, he says, what kind of Mickey Mouse shit is this? Or something like that.
Yeah.
That's not him looking at the Crow outside. There's a freaking group of kids holding the store up while he's in it. And they cut that out because it was too violent. Can you believe that? That was the 90s. So there's no way that kind of stuff would fly in today.
Yeah,
out in a 90s movie.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason why I brought that one up, because to me, as much as I like RoboCop 1, RoboCop 2, I don't understand how that was in theaters.
Yeah, and it was written by none other than, who was it written by?
I forgot who.
Frank Miller.
Oh yeah, that is right.
He's in the movie. He has a cameo.
That is what Frank Miller did right there.
He wrote it, yeah. That was his first. He wanted a shot in Hollywood. And that movie turned him off to Hollywood, actually, because they cut up a lot of the stuff that he wanted to do. But Frank Miller is so crazy. Yeah. Like, even that stuff wouldn't work for the 80s even. He was, Frank Miller's off the wall. So.
Yeah. Now, this one is one that's probably near and dear to some people's hearts because they keep wanting to keep this franchise going for some damn reason. Predator.
Oh, Predator.
The original Predator.
You can't. That's a perfect movie. That is a perfect movie.
So
from start to finish.
No way they need to even touch it.
No, I mean, I thought Predators.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of clever. First, it was called Predators, which was definitely a take on Aliens.
Yeah,
Yeah. I like that, Robert Rodriguez. I caught that. It was very cool of you to do that. That's the closest you're gonna get, and that was a pretty faithful, I thought, to an 80s type of movie. Predators was. And I don't think it did that well. I think it did okay. It made it
okay. It didn't break any records.
Yeah, and I just don't think it would work. I mean, you would need a vehicle type of character like Arnold Schwarzenegger, first of all, which we don't get anymore. We don't get that big action guy anymore, sadly. Well, you got The Rock.
Yeah, but The Rock, he diversified.
He's in too much. Like he's in too much stuff. He would be the only guy that could do it, that could carry a movie like that. And then his foray into an '80s type of movie was Dune, and that was awful. So I don't. Yeah, it just wouldn't happen today.
And that's a shame because but okay. Yeah. Now this one is gonna probably piss off a lot of Star Wars fans, but I don't care. Empire Strikes Back. Now, if they go back and use practical effects, I'm gonna add that stipulation in there.
Mm-hmm. To remake it,
if they would use more practical effects over like CG, what they have to, but would use more practical effects. Do you think they could pull off a remake of probably the greatest bad guy movie ever?
I think they could, and there's only a couple of dudes I would trust with it. I would trust J.J. Abrams. Mm-hmm. He's such a freaking Star Wars fanboy.
Yeah.
And I would trust Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, and the other caveat, James Earl Jones will have to reprise the voice of Darth Vader.
Of course, he has to.
I'm sorry, the man's alive. Just let him sit and read the lines.
Because both of those guys like practical effects. Guillermo del Toro loves practical effects. And he's like the only other guy, I think. Maybe Peter Jackson, but I don't know if Peter Jackson give it that edge.
No, he won't.
But it's weird because Peter Jackson used to have an edge.
Well, in his
earlier days.
Like I honestly think he just doesn't like doing big movies anymore.
Yeah.
I think he wants to go back to doing his.
He didn't want to do the Hobbit trilogy. It just kept taking so long for it to get greenlit that he had to do it. Yeah, and Guillermo del Toro had to back out. But I mean, though, that's sacrilegious to say, but I think it's still possible to do something like that.
Yeah, because Darth Vader's death count in that movie alone.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like even Rogue One, him in Rogue One at the end was very much like Empire Strikes Back.
I'm like
very ruthless.
Let's just say he picked up where he left off.
yeah. That was, I didn't care for Rogue One that much, most of that movie, but that stuff was right on. It was on point.
The last 10 minutes. You heard James Earl Jones do that. Yep.
Oh yeah. That was on point. That was definitely a fanboy moment.
It was just if I could just laugh about one thing about that movie, the guy that got locked in there with him, they're trying to open the door. You knew you dead,
bruh. I feel for you, bro.
I'm like, bro, I feel your pain, man, but I ain't finna be paying out no door. I'm like, I would have jumped through that window. I would have jumped through that. I was like, man. But yeah, okay. So that pretty much does it for. Well, no, there's one more. There's one more that I forgot about, and I can't believe I forgot about this one. Do you remember this one, T? Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Jumpin' Jack Flash. Wow. That's Whoopi, right? Whoopi Goldberg.
And Sam Elliott is a coked up bad guy.
Oh man, Sam Elliott. My wife loves Sam Elliott.
Which is odd because he still looks the same as he did back then. He's a vampire.
He's a vampire. Oh man, that dude doesn't age.
I know, like, bro, you've been old ever since I've been alive.
You're old in The Mask. You're old in Jumpin' Jack Flash. You've been old a minute, man. He's kind of like Danny Glover.
Ever created?
I feel like Danny Glover's been 60 since 1982.
I know.
It's so weird. Oh my gosh, that is funny. Yeah.
Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Jumpin' Jack Flash I think that could work because I think first of all, I think it's old enough where it wasn't a huge movie, but people remember it, but they don't remember it well enough. So I think you can, do something new with it, and there's only a few people who could pull it off. A few comedy directors who could pull it off. I think comedy action.
Yeah. Or F. Gary Gray.
F. Gary Gray could totally do it. Yeah, he could totally do it.
F. Gary Gray.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he did the last two Fast and Furious movies. Come on, dude.
Yeah, he could do it. He could totally do it. That'd be right up his alley.
When in doubt. Now, I would bring up one of my personal favorites, Lethal Weapon, but I just don't want some stuff to be touched.
Oh boy.
Period.
Yeah, don't mess with that's.
I'm not bringing
again,
that
that's
up.
I don't count 4. Like 4 to me is a different movie. I
4
mean,
was
it's
them.
part of Lethal Weapon, obviously. It's
Yeah,
all
4 they should have never did
they should
because
have never done it.
I
I mean,
thought
there's
3 would
things
have been a
about
thing
4
of
that I
nice.
like. Jet Li,
Yeah.
and Chris Rock. But Chris Rock kind of was too Chris Rock. He was a little too
Yeah.
much at times because him and Leo Getz together was just a little bit too much.
Yeah, that's because that scene did kind of drag on.
Oh my gosh, they just
I'm
kept
like, it was
going and
funny
going.
at first, but I'm like, okay, dude, this is.
They look like they had a lot of fun making that movie. So
Yeah.
I will say that. I bet they had a lot of fun on those sets.
Yeah,
we didn't need Lethal Weapon 4.
Nah. As much as I like Jet Li beating the shit out of everybody in there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because they shouldn't have won.
No, they wouldn't have won. Come on.
Yeah.
They'd have been dead. I'm gonna wheel you, Riggs. No, you're dead.
No. Y'all ain't had no more bullets, and it was a hand-to-hand fight. Y'all died.
So, which is your favorite
Lethal
Weapon movie? Would you say?
My favorite, honestly, see, I have it. It's tied out of 1 and 3.
Oh, really?
If I had to give it to it would probably be 1 would be my favorite, just because I love how crazy Gary Busey is.
Yeah.
I love how crazy Mel Gibson is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first one was just so different that it worked. Now, 2, I liked at the time because of the whole apartheid thing. I like how they
it's very of its time. It doesn't have this. It doesn't hold. I mean,
it doesn't hold.
It's still racial. I mean, there's still themes that make sense today that still hold today. But apartheid was a big thing.
That was specifically about South Africa.
Exactly.
And they did try to. The one thing that they did in 2 that I actually liked was the fact that they actually tied it into Riggs' backstory.
Yes, that was good.
Of his wife dying. Now
that was very good.
Was very good.
Yes.
But other than that, it was really, that movie was for 87.
Oh yeah.
That's what it was for. It wasn't for like 1 and 3. You can those to me hold up well.
They're more timeless for sure. Yeah.
2 was you had to understand what was going on at that
time. Maybe not the Boys the Men song.
Yeah. Basically.
That's definitely of its time too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, but you had to know what was going on at that time for that movie to actually make complete sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I can't really give it a 2, but it's out of 1 and 3, and to me 1 gets the edge.
Yeah, some of that stuff in 3 was pulled from the headlines.
Yeah,
like the cop killer. They called them cop killer bullets. The hollow point. Like that's that. I remember that being in the news, like a big thing. Like, oh, they got these armor-piercing bullets now, and
because it was black jackets.
Yeah, they called them cop killers. So that was very much of its time, but it still works today. Like you wouldn't think of it.
No, but 2.
Yeah, but I love 2 too. It's still very enjoyable, and that's when we first got Leo Getz. So
yep, and that's the first time I seen Joe, because I seen Joe Pesci in them freaking mob movies, so I was wondering why he didn't just kill everybody.
Yeah,
like he normally does in movies.
I mean, the first movie I saw him in was probably Raging Bull.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really remember it that much when I was a kid. And then I can't remember if I saw like Home Alone or those movies first, or Lethal Weapon first. Him in Lethal Weapon. I can't remember. I want to say I saw him in Lethal Weapon first, but I can't remember. But that was what was so good about Joe Pesci. He could go from like being this crazy killer, mobster, to like this goofy villain and like Home Alone, and he could go right back to Casino. It's just like, this guy's crazy.
He's awesome, but I would be afraid of him if I saw him in an Italian restaurant in New York.
You're too good at that.
You wait.
That's really who you are. I'm not messing with you.
I mean, one of my favorite Jamie Foxx stories was when he went to go meet Al Pacino for Any Given Sunday, and he was like, he had just got through finishing seeing The Godfather, and they met at a Italian restaurant.
And
he was scared.
You about to off me, ain't you?
Like, man, I'm just gonna be meeting you. So that was one of the funny stories he ever said. He ever told. I was like,
was that was in his stand-up when he was talking about how he got into it with LL, right?
Yeah, because right after that he talked about getting into it with LL.
Yeah, that was so funny. That was a funny story.
Yeah, but I just thought it was funny because I'm like, I can see myself because like I've watched a lot of Al Pacino's movies, so I would be terrified if I had to go meet him at an Italian restaurant.
Oh boy,
I should have been like, okay, I ain't got no backup, and
he was Tony Montana, man. like
this ain't gonna end well, is it?
Pacino was the man.
Yeah, so. Pacino, yeah, that guy, yeah. Him and Bobby De Niro. Now the only thing I would say is Animaniacs screwed them up for me because of the simple fact that they made something called Goodfellas. When they made Goodfellas, it pretty much destroyed that whole badass persona that they had because Steven Spielberg pretty much made fun of them for Goodfellas.
That's another boss, Steven Spielberg, man.
Yeah, so I mean,
he owned the 80s too.
Yeah, obviously. Steven Spielberg he ran the 80s.
I mean, you can't talk about the 80s without talking about
Indiana Jones,
that special trilogy, Indiana Jones,
E.T.
obviously,
on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he didn't direct it, but he produced Poltergeist.
Yeah, Poltergeist. Yeah,
so.
His name is if you look on the back of a lot of stuff that come from the 80s, you'll see his name somewhere on it.
Yeah, he was everywhere.
Yeah, and on top of that, had his own cartoon studio and all that stuff. So
yeah, he had TV stuff going. You just said you mentioned Animaniacs. That was a little later, but he had
Tiny
Amazing Stories.
Yeah, Amazing Stories.
Yeah, that was him.
He got the rights to Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Because that's how he was able to do Tiny Toons.
Yep.
He was
a boss, man.
Yeah, he was a boss. Now, before we wrap this up, I asked T earlier today that if there was one game, because y'all both know we are gamers, and we're proud gamers, but if there was one game from the modern era, which is from 2007 HD era, that could work as an 80s movie, complete with horrible